Good afternoon, traders. It is Wednesday, May 18th, 2016, and the U.S. stock market is closed. I've had horrible days, and I've probably had more horrible days than today, but I feel like today is about the most horrible in my recent memory, and I'm going to explain that a little more later on. It wasn't just that we lost money. There's something happened today that has never happened to me before, and I'm going to spend a little time on it. And some people watch this, they want to be traders, and I keep saying trading's really tough, but you know, what happened today is just off the charts in terms of confusion and difficulty for a trader. I called the Dow up today. Well, it started up very strong here. I mean, this is like well into the second half of the day that it made its peak here, and then there must have been some news. I haven't checked it out yet. Doesn't make any difference. It sold off, took out its lows from yesterday, and then recovered a little, and then the thing ends up closing negative 3 points, basically unchanged. It'd be nice if our equities stayed unchanged, but that was not the case. We had bad negative equity yesterday on the close. We ended up closing out over negative $7,000. So what we had yesterday didn't get any better overnight, but at least it didn't get any worse. I guess there's something to be said about that. What bugged me was in this buying that we saw in the first half of the day, we got into 12 new positions, and hey, you know, we got into these things almost right away. It was just like bam, 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 and they all went red almost. We ended up 12 positions, 4 positive, 8 negative. We are holding nearly negative $12,000 going into tomorrow. So we close out over negative 7,000. We're carrying over almost 12,000 negative going into tomorrow. That is the kind of trading that really sucks. And this comes after long string of days that are almost as this bad. So I'm really discouraged. I'm really frustrated. And this thing is just chop, you know, whipsaw, and no direction to it at all. And this really makes for difficult trading. I'm going to show you just one chart before I get into the meat of today's video. I talked about this yesterday. You know, I have the fear indexes in our portfolio because I'm thinking, you know, if the thing should do what I don't expect it to do and just crash, at least we'll offset our losses with these what are, you know, inverse indexes. So they go up when the rest of the market goes down. They go down when the rest of the market goes up. And I'm backing up a little, just show you the last few days. I mean, just look at this roller coaster. How do you trade that? Yesterday, when markets were going down, we bought TVIX here, and then slam on the up open. We're knocked out for about $3,000 loss. You know, there's, you know, getting bearish this market isn't gonna make you any money at all. The problem is you can't get bullish either. It just has no direction. It's like this. It's like a roller coaster, and it's getting everybody, no matter what they do, extremely difficult to trade. But all this, in spite of my frustration and everything, I've seen all this before. I can live through this. I'm going to show you something that just put me absolutely close to falling off the edge today. And I'm going to go to that now, and you're going to have to listen to me explain a little, because this may be a little difficult for some to understand. I'm showing you a chart of JDST. It's inverse minerals, but it's mostly gold. So when gold goes up, JDST is going to go down, and when gold goes down, JDST is going to go up. Okay. I haven't been watching this chart because I haven't had any trades in JDST. So I'm not even looking at anything on this chart. And suddenly, this morning, kabam! I have everything on full automation so I don't miss the trades when the action gets real fast at the beginning of the day. And all of a sudden, I have bought 30,000 shares of JDST this morning, and I have bought them at a real-time price of $15.59 a share. That is almost $500,000 in stock. How the hell did that happen? I don't trade positions. My positions are supposed to be about $50,000 a trade. How did I end up getting $500,000? And I didn't have time to figure it out, but I knew it was a mistake. I don't know how the mistake, but I figured TradeStation Securities had gone bonkers or something. And within 2 minutes of getting into this 30,000 share position, I sold it and sold everything, the similar positions in my managed accounts, and figured I'd try and figure it out. Well, I did figure it out. And it's a bad data trade, but what's insane about this, it's not my software, it's not even the data provider, it's the exchange. And let me just briefly try and explain this. Stay with me here. As I say, this has never happened to me before. It took me 2-3 hours to finally put the pieces together today to figure out what happened. JDST has been trading. It's dropped from like $40 or so, maybe even $50, maybe even a little more than that, $40-50 to around below $20 in the last 30 days. That's the real-time prices. Somehow, and they started showing here for the last several days that it was trading below $2. And what was happening is they're putting out data that's they got the wrong decimal point in here. So when they're showing this is like $1.80, it's really trading at $18. I don't know how this could be going on for days and days and nobody at the exchange sees it or knows about it. But it is an exchange problem because I know this. I have 3 pieces of software, 3 platforms, and 2 data feeds. And all of them, right after this happened, were showing the same thing. Now, not surprisingly enough, TradeStation Securities has now corrected that data. You won't see this gap in the TradeStation 9.5. You won't see it in multi-charts that is collecting off another data feed, which is eSignal. So eSignal, TradeStation Securities, it's not their data feed. This is coming from the exchange. I don't know how this could happen, but it has to come from the exchange. It's not my software. It's not the data provider. This is coming from the exchange, and they have been putting out these low prices for the past several days. What happened this morning is they corrected that data. So suddenly we saw like $1.60 from on the close yesterday jump to $16 on the open this morning. Voila! We have an artificial gap of over 800%. This never took place in JDST. This is total screwed up data. But my algorithm and my software reads this as a jump. And of course, we buy gaps. You've heard me say that. We bought the gap. It was a gap that wasn't there, but we bought it. But worse yet, my algorithm calculates the number of shares based on the prices from the previous day. So what was happening here is it was looking at a price of $1.80, calculating that $1.80 would get me into 30,000 shares, but then going up and jumping in to a market that's trading at over $16. So that's how I ended up, and my managed accounts ended up with $500,000 of stocks. And I'll venture in a minute what just one speculation is how this is going to happen. Right now, I really don't know how this could happen. It makes no sense to me. I saw this, I knew this was bad data, and when as I say, I don't trade $500,000 worth of stocks, so I got out of it, and that getting out of it was just a couple minutes. But with $500,000 stocks, that cost me $3,000. It cost my managed accounts a lot of money too, for a 2-minute trade. But what just made me want to throw up? This thing traded absolutely flat. You can see here. You can see it traded absolutely flat until the last 2.5 hours of the day, and suddenly it explodes. And this 800% gap, that's not real, but in real time, real data and everything else, JDST made 24% today. Now, suck in your breath. I had to. I had to suck in my breath from keeping the throwing up. Had I held on to this, and this was not a system trade, so this is not a mistake. I should not hang on to a trade that's based on bad data and bad calculations and everything else. But had I held on to this trade, I would be up $97,800 on the close. That's right. Over $97,000. And of course, I got out with about a $3,000 loss. Again, this is not a mistake. I did not make a mistake. This wasn't a system trade. This was a trade that was based on bad data that calculated buying this huge number of stocks, and when I saw that, I got out of it. That's what a trader should do. But I can't help but look at this. Hey, I wish I had a bad day and just walked out the door and went fishing today and come back and feel, well, the automated trading will take care of everything. Yeah, and I'd be rich. I would have made, almost as much as money today as I have all year. But it didn't happen, folks. I got out. I took a loss. So what happened here? I'm just trying to figure, how could the exchanges be putting out this bad data and not see it? And then they correct it. And they correct it on a day that the stock goes up 24%. Isn't that kind of suspicious? Well, I do kind of believe that these stocks are terribly manipulated, And it just seems to me too much of a coincidence that they correct, first of all, that they allow this bad data to be put out. This is Exchange putting out, again, this Exchange putting out to the data providers that put it out to us and goes into software. It's the same in three platforms of software. So this is an Exchange problem. They corrected the data today, and then we have this huge gap up. If I was paranoid, what I'd say, what did they do here? They did this thinking they could suck in a whole lot of day traders, crazy day traders, and there's a lot of them, who looking at this, they're not following this thing just like I wasn't following it. They think it's an 800% gap up, and what do? They put in huge short position, figure this thing's got to fill the gap with some profit taking. I mean, that's logical. And they let this thing go all day long almost, and then 2.5 hours a day, they just squeeze all these shorts out, and we get this huge jump up. I don't know if that's really true, folks, but I'm looking at this. I have no idea how this could have happened, what was behind it. It just makes me sick. Anyway, I still feel like I made a $97,000 mistake, even though I know I didn't really make a mistake. So Trader Bob, yeah, Trader Bob is just going crazy tonight. I'm not just unhappy, I'm just going crazy. I've never seen, this is just like the market gods are really giving me a bad time right now. Anyway, that's the way it goes. I'll be back here tomorrow regardless. Trader Bob sign off. Be back here tomorrow on Thursday.